This week, we welcome Carlos Becerra for our monthly CISO interview to discuss the role of the CISO and do you need a virtual CISO? In the leadership and communication section, the lucky sevens have it. 7 keys to effective leadership in our new normal, the 7 elements of an enterprise cybersecurity culture, 7 quotes from military leaders to help you win at life, and more. Business Security Weekly starts now.
This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where we explore the business of security to improve the security of business. Your trusted source for actionable insights on leadership, communication, and innovation. Get ready for Business Security Weekly. Most breaches are caused by exploiting oversights in basic cybersecurity fundamentals, but complex hybrid multi-cloud infrastructures make cybersecurity hygiene challenging. Red Seal can help. It shows you what's on your network, how it's connected, and the associated risk across public cloud, private cloud, and physical environments. With Red Seal, you'll get control of your cybersecurity fundamentals so you can protect your organization from the inevitable attack vectors and reduce your cyber risk. For more information, visit securityweekly.com/Red Seal. The question is simple. Have any of the systems on my network been compromised? The answer is harder than it should be. Enter AI Hunter. Active Countermeasures has automated and streamlined techniques used by the best pen testers and threat hunters in the industry to create AI Hunter, a network threat hunting solution that does the first pass of a hunt for you to identify systems that are most likely to be compromised and scores the results on a scale from 0 to 100. You can then research those systems in depth with AI Hunter. Focus your valuable time on the systems that need your expertise with AI Hunter. Sign up for a personal demo today at securityweekly.com/ACM.
Welcome to Business Security Weekly. This is episode number 186, recorded August 31st, 2020. I am your host, Matt Alderman, here in a chilly Colorado. But joining me from the warm G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island are my co-hosts, Mr. Paul Asadorian and Mr. Jason Albuquerque.
Hey, it's good to be here, Matt.
Hey, Matt. How it goes?
I'm so jealous you two are sitting there smoking cigars. It's
a beautiful thing. It was a little chilly here in Rhode Island when I got up this morning.
It was like 55, 56 degrees out this morning.
52 on the coast.
I had to put like a quarter zip on this morning. Yeah.
I still have my quarter zip on. It's really cool.
Mine came off at like 9:30 a.m. Yeah, I was done with that.
Security Weekly is ramping up our webcast and technical training schedule for the rest of 2020. In September, you can learn how to extend the enterprise network for remote workers and protect your home network, find out why traditional data security can't be zero trust, and learn how to reduce the blast radius of your cloud infrastructure. Visit securityweekly.com/webcast to see what we have coming up and to register. Or visit securityweekly.com/on-demand to view all of our previously recorded webcasts and technical trainings. Carlos Becerra is an entrepreneur and a seasoned executive with 20 plus years of experience building and establishing specialized technology risk and cybersecurity programs. During his career, Carlos has designed, implemented, and led the information security organization for multiple Fortune 500 companies. He has the proven ability to craft robust and successful security programs, leveraging his deep technical background and strong business acumen to align technology with executive vision. Carlos, welcome to Business Security Weekly.
Hi everyone. Thank you for having me, Matt.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Every month I try to bring on some independent CISOs to really just, understand kind of your experience as a CISO, things you've learned, things we can do to help other CISOs in the industry. So to get started, can you just give us a little background? First of all, how'd you get started in information security?
Well, thank you for asking me that. That's an interesting story. It all started when I was a kid, and I decided that I wanted to break things and find ways to exploit systems. And I was like, you remember the IRC, the Internet Relay Chats, and those flooding and those people trying to hack the system and help admins to actually provide a better service in the chat space when everything was started, no social media at the time. So I was just playing around with technology and trying to detect bad things and prevent bad things from happening from that perspective, and helping the admins of those chats to fix the problems. And I was providing expertise and recommendations. And it all transitioned organically after, completing my bachelor's. I decided that I wanted to dedicate my life to IT. So I started to build IT functions in the healthcare hospitality industry, and then spent 10 plus years as a consultant in Europe. Right after that, I worked for an important American video game company, and they were the ones giving me the opportunity to jump to a more related cybersecurity role. So I had this mixed combination role between delivery, support, then helping a lot of security with security projects and security initiatives. And we had our security needs. So I started to collaborate more and more on security projects. And I decided that, hey, why not? Let's start focusing on security specifically, and started to help with initiatives such as second factor authentication, network segmentation, and also assisting other great areas such as next generation firewalls, endpoint protection, role-based access control. So that's where it all started for me: vulnerability management, identity and access management. It was a great story, great stuff. And for me, it's great to be a cybersecurity professional. I'm excited every day. I don't get bored with all those many incidents that we see going on the environment. And we need to be aware. At the end of the day, we just need to make sure that we mitigate risk, and we help organizations to reduce the attack surface.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us love the space that we're in, right? I mean, Paul probably also had similar experiences with IRC back in the days.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard that story a few times, right?
We had an IRC. It's funny. We had an IRC server for Security Weekly back in the day when we started. And even before that, IRC was a huge command and control channel. And I've more than one occasion taken over someone else's command and control channel for sheerly educational purposes. Yes.
Surely, of course. So Carlos, you have very technical background, and we've seen CISOs kind of come up through the technology ranks, and we've also seen from the business side. How did you get into the role as a CISO? Kind of how did that transition from your technical roles, doing a lot of different security technologies, kind of evolve into the role of a CISO?
Yeah, that's a great question. It all started with me wanting to help people to actually address their career development programs and inspire people and motivate them. So I always wanted to actually not be a manager, but be a leader and contribute to help them build their careers and build a leader that can build another leader, and also spend time in inspiring others to actually care about technology and care about security, transforming the security organization. So during my time at Electronic Arts, I decided that I wanted to shift gears and spend more time with managing resources. And it was quite an interesting transition for me, because I really wanted to be heavily involved from a technical perspective and spend time still touching the machine, touching the keyboard, building servers, deploying infrastructure, and conducting investigations, and doing forensic analysis, doing reverse engineering, and a bunch of other things. So it was really an interesting transition for me because of that fact, because I still wanted to be in the front. So I started being a hands-on leader and program managing initiatives in the cybersecurity space. And then thank you to a leader that believed in me, that helped me out to actually build my own team. I hired my own resources and build a SWAT team to mitigate risk, and spend quite some time contributing to reduce the attack surface and improve our security posture, overall security posture in the organization. And that's when I decided, hey, I'm good at this. I wanted to help others. I wanted to have visibility of a strategy of the company. I wanted to contribute to the strategy of the organization as well, and spend cycles in building trust and infusing security in everything we do. And during the time, I transitioned to a couple of Fortune 500 organizations, when I had this opportunity to transition to more a focus on cybersecurity executive roles, besides the fact that I still had a lot of control from a technical perspective on certain decisions and contributing to architectural and technical decisions as well. So yeah, and then at the end of the 2019, starting early 2020, I decided to actually build my own company, which is a dedicated firm named CV Universal to actually provide virtual CISO services. And that's what I wanted to do. I get excited about being a fractional CISO and providing services to others and not be assigned to one particular account, but be heavily involved in multiple accounts, dedicate cycles to conduct our audits, assessments, provide expertise to build a world-class security program, dedicate cycles to awareness, dedicate cycles to operations, frameworks such as ISO 27001, NIST-CSF. Let's tackle also FedRAMP. Let's do this, this, and this. That's where my career transitioned to more cybersecurity executive roles. And obviously, I passed through director level, VP level, and then the rest is history.
You made an interesting statement. I want to double click on it a little bit. You said you didn't want to be a manager, you wanted to be a leader. Mm. Let's talk a little bit about that role of a CISO, right? As a leader, not necessarily a manager of a bunch of security folks. Kind of walk us through what you mean by that leadership, being a leader as a CISO.
I believe that leadership means that you actually believe in your people, that you empower them to make decisions, that you believe in diversity, that you delegate effectively, and you make your people accountable, and you don't take the credit. You give them the credit, and you understand that you are accountable of any mistakes that an organization, a security organization can make. So this is leadership. This is about believing in your people. This is about trusting your organization. This is about building a trust relationship with your people as well, and spending cycles building trust with other sides of the organization as well. So I believe that it's really important to build credibility and build a culture of, hey, the CISO is not the policeman, is not the bad guy. The CISO is here to help you be successful. It's an enabler, and it will help you to accomplish goals, and it will help you to mitigate risks, and it will help you to actually spend cycles in the right areas and do it in a more secure way and starting earlier to do it. So that's in my opinion what believes leadership. It's about inspiring others. It's about motivating them to exceed their maximum potential. And it's not about micromanaging. It's not about looking over their shoulders and not trusting your people to do the right thing. It's quite the opposite.
Yeah. And Carlos, one of the things I picked up on when you were talking about leadership in general, right? You were saying how you want to have relationships across the business. So being a business leader, I think, in the CISO role is a huge, very huge aspect of what I like to do, and I think very, very important, right? Because having a seat at the table, to be able to have that strategic conversation for your organization, I think is huge, number one, for the level of influence in a business, but also to be able to be connected to the business where you can bring that information back down to your team and say, here's why we do what we do. Here's the business impact we're having within our organization. Here's how we're enablers, right? And I think it's really important to be able to give your teams that North Star so they know where they're going to, why they're driving to what they're driving toward, why they do what they do on a daily basis.
I completely support that. I believe that you need to be heavily aligned with the direction of the company, believe in the business goals of the organization, spend time understanding where the company is heading to, and providing guidance as needed through your organization, and being able to articulate that message and kind of spread the word of security, infusing security and in everything the organization is doing. I believe, in my opinion, if we don't understand the business goals and the direction of the company, and we believe that we are a different department, we are a different maybe subdivision of the company, and we are not related, we are not in the same boat, we're not going to be successful. We're going to set the CISO for failure, and that's not appropriate. I believe that the CISO should be heavily aligned, should be one more member of the senior management team, should spend time understanding what the board wants, what the board needs, what the stockholders needs as well, spend time understanding what the CIO needs, what the CTO needs, making happy the CFO and not spending a lot of money as well. And making sure that you are aligned also with at all levels in the organization in general. Is you are one leader that contributes to the overall success of the company, and you are a risk mitigator, but you also need to be heavily aligned with all the other leaders in the organization and believe in the same company's goals and obviously embrace cultural values as well.
Now, one of the interesting roles you're playing now is a virtual CISO, gives you a lot of insight into a lot of different organizations. You love the ability to help lots of different companies. What are some of the big challenges smaller organizations that don't have a full-time CISO in place are facing today? Where do you see some of those big challenges and problems today?
Yeah, most of the companies I'm serving, they really wanted to have a full-time CISO. The problem is sometimes they do have an IT organization with certain structure and formality, and they want this organization to actually take care of security stuff as well. And, that it could become a problem when you are growing and some startups are getting this exponential growth, in my opinion, and it's unmanageable. In certain occasions, it's unmanageable for them to actually have these IT resources managing security projects and initiatives. So it's really important to actually have a dedicated figure, a figure of a leader, which could be externalized, helping them to accomplish things from a cybersecurity perspective, giving them some additional guidance they don't have today. Maybe they have certain technical resources that they are maybe cybersecurity savvy, to a certain extent, of course, but they don't have, they don't really have the necessary knowledge from a leadership perspective, and they don't have guidance about what to do now. Do we need to do maybe an audit? Do we need, for example, in healthcare, are we HIPAA compliance today? In the fintech industry, how do we know if we pass the PCI audit? Do we have a sense of which technical controls we need to dedicate some time to improve, to actually pass the audit? What compensating controls we need? And in terms of, for example, identity, are we spending the necessary cycles in building role-based access control, or are we doing good from a network segmentation perspective? So it's great to have that figure of a virtual CISO helping you and guiding you to build nurturing that cybersecurity program, providing that level of expertise, and coordinating either internal resources or external resources that are in need of that kind of senior level guidance. And in my opinion, they are doing great in certain aspects, but they need that level of guidance and they need additional resources to accomplish goals. And that's exactly what I'm doing today. I'm helping organizations to deviate the attention to the areas they need, spend time from a risk management perspective in mitigating the severe, critical, and highs, maybe vulnerability management, work more in asset management, asset identification. How do we know if, for example, how do we know what vulnerabilities we have if we don't know how many assets we have or what kind of assets we have and the particular context of the vulnerability? It's very essential. So that's in a nutshell what I've been doing in the last year, helping these organizations to understand a little bit more the big unknowns and how they can actually be in a better position and have a better security posture.
Has the pandemic made the challenge of getting a dedicated kind of full-time internal resource harder with budget cuts and stuff? Do you see more of an uptick of people looking for external virtual CISO resources to help them kind of fill the gap in the near term, just because of so much uncertainty in the kind of economic environment right now?
Yeah, definitely. The COVID-19 situation in certain cases influenced negatively in resourcing, and certain organizations cannot afford anymore to actually maybe have a dedicated full-time CISO. So how about to have a fractional CISO or virtual CISO that can help you maybe 4 hours a day or maybe 1 hour a day, and then pay a fraction of what you would pay to a full-time CISO. So yeah, in COVID-19 definitely impacted budgets, even in the enterprise space, and contributed negatively to delay initiatives and put certain things on hold, but also maximize also the level of spend in certain other areas, including the BYOD and the in the network segmentation side, in the more technical controls at home, because you are actually allowing more people to work remotely. So you need to have certain level of control to those assets and mitigate the kind of a third party risk, because you're introducing that risk to the organization. So yeah, a combination of all of that, I believe that contributed to change a little bit things and shift gears a little bit. Yeah, you're right, Matt.
Yeah. Yeah, a question from my perspective. How much are you seeing, folks looking for virtual CISOs because they just can't find the level of talent and maturity? I mean, in the leadership section later, we're going to be talking about how one study said there's still almost 2 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs, right? So how much of that is a talent gap issue, where organizations are looking for a CISO, a level of maturity, someone who can sit in front of the board and in front of a CEO and have that business conversation, but they can't find them?
Yeah, exactly. I see a virtual CISO, an extension of senior management team, and it should be actually part of those board discussions, should be part of the senior management team, even if they don't really have the full-time employee title, but they are there and they are there to help. And you had a point. Yeah, I mean, and these CISOs face situations where you don't get the level of traction you wanted, and these CISOs are actually contributing to the overall success. But yeah, to your point, I believe that these virtual CISOs will definitely complement and augment those gaps. The skill set gaps in cybersecurity is real. It's something that is impacting us all over the place. I remember having to wait almost a year to find application security engineer resources with software development, software engineering background. Also having to spend quite some time trying to find a great SOC manager with experience managing incidents. So, and in the CISO space, it's the same thing. I mean, the senior management team is expecting a CISO or a thought leader with tons of experience, but those professionals, maybe they don't even want to move, maybe they don't want to transition to another company, or maybe they want a particular vertical, or maybe they wanted to actually move overseas. So what about having that level of flexibility and flex independence, versatility? Finding this type of professionals, these virtual CISOs can sit from anywhere in the world. They don't need to be specifically sitting in, I don't know, in Orlando, Florida, or in Dublin, California, or in Atlanta, Georgia. They can be sitting from anywhere. Even if your company is not sitting there, unless obviously you have a contractual obligation that this professional needs to be sitting in the specific country or state. I don't see a problem where having a CISO sitting overseas helping an account in Europe, for example, remotely from Dubai, or from San Francisco and serving an account in Spain. So this level of versatility and flexibility is definitely not present in the traditional full-time CISO model.
So, Carlos, if people, if an organization needs to find CISO resources and they want to research the concept of bringing in a fractional or a virtual CISO, how do they educate themselves to know, is it a right fit for them? Any recommendations on what people should be looking for to find some of these services?
I believe organizations of probably of all the sizes, right, that wanted to actually dedicate and spend more time in building world-class security programs should think about, hey, do we have the dedicated resources to build these programs? Do we have the dedicated resources to spend some time in leading this cybersecurity organization and augmenting the team as needed? Because, a virtual CISO can also help you to build the organization and then, be hands-off as needed, maybe help you to build that framework and that structure, and then move on to a different account, move on to a different customer and client. And that's exactly what the beauty of this model is about. It's about helping these customers to understand their needs. They don't even know sometimes they don't even know they need a virtual CISO. Sometimes they've been compromised already, and they're just looking for someone who can help them to conduct investigations or to do and the post-mortem of the emergency breach, right? The IR, post-IR, I would say, post-incident response. And sometimes they believe, okay, wow, oh my God, we've been compromised, and we need to spend some time in compliance, in regulations. Let's go back to GDPR. Let's go back to CCPA to understand if these frameworks, if we're aligned with these frameworks, and these frameworks have a certain level of alignment with us. And let's spend some time building this vulnerability management program to reduce the attack surface here, or let's build this incident response plan with playbooks. Let's do a little bit of IR tabletop exercises. Let's conduct awareness and training campaigns with our organization and spend cycles training your team, including DevOps, to understand a little bit more about the security risk and maybe kind of start earlier in the SDLC to code in a more secure fashion. So yeah, these organizations, sometimes they don't know, but sometimes they know they need something, but they are not sure what they need. So sometimes it's a virtual CISO figure from that perspective who can help them provide that level of guidance and help them conduct these audits, these maturity assessments. It all starts, in my opinion, with a maturity assessment where they can get this idea of where they are from that perspective in terms of, identity, asset management, kind of an incident response, vulnerability management, whatever the area is, and then spend cycles there, spend some time there, augment as needed the organization, or outsource as needed as well to get these things done and start mitigating risk.
Yeah, this is where I think certain frameworks help. Like the NIST cybersecurity framework gives you a good area to look at the different domains and just kind of gauge your maturity against those different requirements in those domains, right? Or you look at something like CMMC in the federal space that's going to use the certification for their capabilities maturity model as a way to potentially just kind of understand where you are, and then use that to kind of prioritize, well, do I need a full-time CISO? Do I need a virtual CISO? What kind of resources do I need? Anything to give them a starting path forward.
Correct, yeah. Obviously, ISO 2701, 3701 as a foundation. NIST has really good standards from a risk management perspective, NIST RMF. From a cybersecurity perspective, NIST CSF or cybersecurity framework, 853 controls, and also, for example, in the federal government space as well, FedRAMP, to make sure that your government accounts are actually going to be served properly, and we are in compliance with their needs from that perspective. Also, definitely in the healthcare space, we need to be heavily aligned with HIPAA, make sure that we protect the personal healthcare identifiable information records or healthcare records. In any space, we need to care about PII, personal identifiable information standards. So we invest time in DLP, in data loss prevention. And there are many other frameworks, such as, for example, PCI in the financial industry, payment card industry standards, and DSS 3.1 and 3.2 are the latest. To make sure that the credit card holder environment is protected, you comply from a regulatory perspective, but you also go above and beyond from a regulatory compliance perspective and invest time in mitigating controls, CCWs, compensating control worksheets, and all that. And yeah, in a nutshell, I believe that OWASP as well it's a really good one also as well to mitigate risk in the web application space. So yeah, a combination of all of that will build a strong security program. Depending on what vertical you are, where industry you are, you will be investing more time in one or the other. But yeah, there are many other frameworks in the penetration testing space as well. Just to name a few.
Our good friend Jeff Mann would agree with you. PCI is all you need, and you're good. Jason, Paul, any additional questions for Carlos?
Carlos, I did have one question. I've been thinking about how, all the technology choices that we have in enterprises today, even small enterprises, small businesses, right? One security strategy is, of course, trying to consolidate those all onto a smaller number of platforms, but as you were mentioning in your interview, you don't want to interfere with the business. What's your strategy being a virtual CISO to help guide people on selecting technology platforms and consolidating them while not impacting the business? As some teams use that technology because it's awesome for them and another group needs another piece of technology, right?
Yeah, to that point, we need to be aligned with other teams, with the CIO, with the IT teams, with the DevOps team, with the engineering. We need to be heavily aligned with them to avoid the duplication. The duplication of effort, that's number one. But also to understand, hey, if we have all these great solutions today that serve different purposes and functions and have different use cases across the organization, including, for example, we have a CASB solution, and we have an instant messaging solution, and we have a messaging platform, and we also have a mechanism to protect the email to be infected and to be clicked and then get compromised. So all these solutions at the end of the day will integrate with each other. Or we have this great CM that integrates with threat intelligence and data lake solution that we're proposing, or we have this virtualization or this cloud. I believe that we need to be aligned from a technical perspective, all leaders in senior management team, and understand what are the needs from a cybersecurity perspective, but also what are the needs from an IT or DevOps perspective, and be aligned, be working together in the forecasting process. Invest time in the right areas. But yeah, there is definitely room for consolidation. If we have this great vendor that can offer multiple solutions under the same umbrella, for example, it can cover vulnerability management, it can cover network protection, IDS, IPS, they can cover endpoint protection as well, they can cover vulnerability, identity, whatever the case may be. So why not consolidating instead of having all these best-in-breed kind of solutions? Maybe you can save some money. Maybe you can actually work effectively with sourcing, with global sourcing team, with the procurement team to get better deals because you are consolidating solutions under one single vendor. So you have one MSA, you have one NDA, you have one invoice versus multiple invoices. So this is about cost reduction as well, cost effectiveness, and providing value back to the organization. So yeah, but in my opinion, what is most important is to be enablers. To be CISOs should be, and virtual CISOs should be enablers in the organization and should help the organization to keep the ball moving, and the show must go on. And at the end of the day, it's about helping them to continue growing. It's about helping them to continue being successful. It's not about blocking anybody. We are not here to over control. We are here to recommend and to partner with other sides of the organization to do the right thing and continue growing, and at the same time doing it in a secure fashion.
Yeah. What I like from that is a bunch of things, but one is it's about communication, right? It's knowing. I think if you were coming as a virtual CISO, I want you to say, you've got 3 different groups using all 3 different types of technology that's overlapping, and the same with our security solutions, right? Just knowing that is huge, and then being able to act upon it, right, takes a lot of communication. And what you were saying with the security solutions, doing vulnerability management, patch management, all those things are consolidating in the market. We're seeing those trends today. So I think those are very valuable lessons.
Yeah, I think the point is it depends on the organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
Depends on the culture of the organization, the people, the business units, right? All of that. And that's the beauty of coming in as a virtual CISO. You go in and you assess the culture, you assess the program, you assess the people, you assess the technology, and now you can come in at that higher level and say, all right, here's my recommendations on building a true program. I mean, what you mentioned about the technologies, we're in the same place with all the different frameworks. I mean, Carlos just rattled off 15 frameworks, and how do organizations make hay of that, right? They have to weed through all these. Which one best fits my organization? Because that's what it is, a framework, right? It's a framework to build a security program on. So to have someone come in with that level of strategic ability to take technology, people, process, framework, and make a true security strategy for an organization, that's where the talent comes into play.
Exactly. Yeah, completely agree with that. I believe that you need to be investing time in culture, embracing those values, and then spending time in communicating, articulating, sharing, and that should be bi-directional and mutual between other leaders in the organization as well. So I don't like those surprises that where you find out that other organization is investing time and money building this solution, and then your organization is also investing time and money in the same solution or a similar solution, and because we didn't communicate, we just spend thousands of dollars in those initiatives. Instead of just having an honest and transparent conversation with each other, stop working in silos is important, more collaborative approach, more openness in terms of security is your friend. It shouldn't be seen as the enemy. The times where you hide something to the security team because you believe that you're going to get in trouble, I think those times ended already a long time ago. And now we're seeing, luckily, a lot of organizations being trusted and being more collaborative, working with each other, being trusted and respected. And that's really important. We need to continue driving these sentiments and definitely investing time in culture, which is very important.
Yeah, and to that point, always be part of that solution, because some organizations and some leaders who grew up in the old school side of security still have PTSD. Right?
No, it's a thing.
And it's like muscle memory. They still think you're the enemy, right? And every day we have to keep on it and just show that we are business enablers and we're there to help, right? That's the key.
Definitely. Yep. Carlos, exactly. Great insights. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and a pleasure to be here today. And I wish you the best with your show. You guys are doing a great job.
Thanks, Carlos.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carlos.
And with that, we'll take a quick break and then cover the leadership and communications articles for this week.